So, good day to you all. I do hope that I'm visible now and people can hear me. I just see this big screen with the advertisement, which is part of what I would like to say in advance before we start. We do this free webinar just because we think we would like to share some of the expertise or the knowledge that we gained over the last couple of weeks in doing online schema therapy. We organized this webinar for free, but in return we would like to advertise for some of the activities that we have. So one of them is this ISST approved online 40 hours training program that will start in a couple of months. That will take place. So if you know people who are willing and wanting to become a schema therapist, this might be an option. Anyway, I would like to wish you all a very warm welcome. I mean, this is your workday or evening or morning, depending on what part of the world you come from, but you're all signed up for joining this webinar on doing Chairwork online. We're very grateful for that. We'll try to do our best to make this interesting and inspiring for you. My name is Remco van der Wijngaard. I will be doing this webinar together with my colleague, but before we do that, just another piece of information. This is also not part of advertisement. Damn. I've written a book on imagery scripting, but it is in Dutch, so I'm just pointing it out because I'm so proud of it. We are working on an English translation that will come out eventually. Don't know when, don't know how, but it will happen. But what will come out, what will be published in June actually, which is in 1 month of time, that is the revised, completely revised edition of Schema Therapy for the Borderline Personality Disorder, written by Arnoud Ernst and Hanni van Genderen, one of the essential books that defines schema therapy. So if you are interested in a revised edition, stay tuned and keep your eyes open. So what will we be doing? Not just advertisements. This will be all about doing Chairwork online. I mean, we all are living in weird times. I mean, these are strange times, and in a way, many of us manage really well, and we can do our work. We can see patients through conference calls or platforms like this. And in many aspects of doing schema therapy are still the same. We can build up a relationship, we can use the same language, but doing techniques, especially Chairwork, that offers us challenges that we need to face. And this is just an hour where we would like to share some of the knowledge together with you and hear your comments and thoughts and questions that you might have at the end of this webinar. I'm not doing this just by myself. I'm doing this together with Helene Beugels. Helene, I'm not sure if you already are visible for everyone. Maybe you could say something and introduce yourself. Just trying to get Helene tuned in.
Ik denk dat je me wel al hoort, maar mijn camera doet het nog even niet. Do you hear me, Remco?
I can hear you, but we don't see you. So you're just like this mystery guest that is sort of...
There's something with my...
There's somebody here who will be co-presenting.
I don't understand... no, it's very strange what's happening here. Okay, still not seeing me. Maybe you can do the first slide.
I get a notification that I need to put on your camera, but I'm trying to, but I'm not able to. I'll make you a co-host. Maybe that will work. Maybe you have the controls now for yourself. My apologies, people. We've been doing a couple of those webinars over the last couple of weeks, normally in the Netherlands.
Yes, I'm there.
International one. Yay, there you are. So please introduce yourself, Helene.
I'm Helene Beugels and I teach with Remco in the Netherlands on schema therapy, and I work a lot with schema therapy with young people and adults.
Okay, and together we've been presenting the Dutch version of this webinar, which has proven to be popular. There were more than 1,000 people present. I'm not sure how many are present now, because I try to avoid the knowledge of that, because I am a bit of aroused and triggered. Schemas are active, so to say. I'm trying to do my best to keep focused and walk you through the program. So what are we going to do? Put it back on share again. Because what we would like to do together with you is make it practical, make it inspiring. And the way to do that is to keep the introduction short. So we'll say something about doing online chair work, but the main focus for today will be just give you demonstrations of the different variations of doing chair work online. We came up with 3 variations. There might be more, but these are the 3 that we are able to show with you within the time span of 1 hour. You will have a chance to ask questions. You have to use the Q&A button for that. Hanni van Genderen is present. She's answering the questions, so you will have an expert answering your questions. I'm sure she's doing her best, and she did a wonderful job with the Dutch webinar, but if not all of your questions are answered, at the end of this webinar, we will still have some 5 to 20 minutes time to answer them live, depending on how many questions you have, of course. Let's keep this short and focused and just make this, I mean, there are people present who are dying to go to bed because they live in part of the world where it's evening already. So to get things started, I'm a bit hesitant now because I would like to sort of start with building up a framework of schema therapy, but I'm very much aware that we are all schema therapists. So I'm talking to an audience who is very much aware of all that I will be saying now. But the thing is, to get things started, schema therapy is defined by 3 pillars, so to say. Well, the first pillar is the concepts that we use, the language that we use. We talk about schemas. We use the words like there's a side of you, the schema modes. That's one pillar that defines schema therapy. Another pillar that defines schema therapy is the therapy relationship, which is always important, of course, but the therapy relationship of limited reparenting, making it more personal, more warm, more nurturing, that is typical for schema therapy. And then there's this third pillar that is about the techniques that we use, the methods that we use to make things work. That is what we do. Those are the cornerstones of being a schema therapist. Now, as the slide shows, the concepts are still the same. Doing schema therapy online, you can still use the same language. So that doesn't make a difference. Limited reparenting is still something that you work with. And even though there's a screen now between you and the patient, there's so many ways in which you can make this a warm and empathic relationship. Simple things like make sure that the patient has this transitional objects around them every time that you meet with them online. So to create the same consistent atmosphere in their personal space as you would provide them when you would see them in your office. The thing is with the techniques that poses us for challenges, like I said. What we would like to focus on today is that even though these are challenges, the fact that we have a camera, that we have a device also gives us a chance. It gives us opportunities to do some work that we normally wouldn't do. So that will be something to keep in mind. We will try to make you aware that the camera is not just a bad thing that sort of limits your possibilities as a schema therapist. We would like to point out that it also gives you a chance to do extra stuff. Righty-righto. Okay, so as I said, doing chair work. I mean, the first question starts with, I mean, how can you work with chairs when you're just sitting at a different part of the country or even a different part of the world? We would like to share with you 3 variations to a theme. Like the first one is moving in front of the camera, the easiest one, so to say, because it makes the use of the physical position, and even though it might seem a bit simple or too simple maybe, it is effective. Another variation is that we would like to make use of chairs, but now the chairs in the room with a therapist. Especially something that you might want to choose for if this is the start of therapy where the patient is not strong enough or doesn't have a healthy adult that is strong enough. And the third variation is when we would like to make use of the chairs in the room of the patient, which is probably what you will be using more in the middle part or the end part of therapy. So this is the agenda for today. Moving in front of the camera. Okay, what we thought we would do is just start with a demonstration, but do a demonstration with subtitles. And with that, I mean, in between, I will sort of pause once in a while to talk a bit about why I'm doing what I'm doing. And this is not to say that this is how it should be done. I don't feel like an expert in doing chair work online. I mean, I feel like you, we have to deal with the reality that is complicated. Now, these could be options. So this is just to inspire you and maybe trigger some questions. Okay. Now we'll stop the sharing so you have a clear sight. What I would like to have is that you could see both Helen and me at the same time. But we are not experts in Zoom, even after all those weeks. So we're not sure yet if we have made the technical preferences to make us both visible. Anyway, this is what we're going to do and hope you like it. Okay, Helen is my patient, Sandra. And Sandra has a borderline personality disorder. And this is just like a start of the session. So, welcome, Sandra. It's
Hello.
good to see you. And I've been wondering how you've been feeling last week.
Well, just quiet, just normal.
And quiet and normal means?
Oh, I can't remember the last week, just working and yeah, normal things.
So when I ask you about feelings, it feels to me that now you're in a place where you don't seem to feel that much. It sounds a bit neutral, and don't mean that in a critical way. But when I ask you about feelings, you seem to be in a place where you don't feel that much. Am I right?
Yeah, it's kind of empty.
Empty.
And quiet.
And I know that you are an emotional person. You do feel a lot. You do experience a lot of emotions. I remember other sessions where you did feel a lot, but not today. Like now, when I ask you about feelings, you're more in an emotional state where emotions don't seem to be present.
Yeah, just a bit tired, empty, not thinking much.
Okay. So it almost feels like that these are two sides of you. So there's a part of you that is a very emotional part of you. You as a person, you are an emotional person. And personally, I like that very much. I like the fact that you can feel so many things. But today I see the side of you that is more closed off in a way, where you don't feel that much.
Mm.
Okay, just in between, just to pause the role play. I mean, this is maybe common. We try to identify the different sides of the patient. Now, what I would normally stress in normal trainings is also that you sort of underline the language of sides with gestures. But it seems to be more relevant when you're doing online therapy, because there is a big distance between you and the patient. To make it very clear what you mean, the use of gestures is something that could underline that message. Like, you are an emotion person, but there's a side of you. What you also see me maybe do is when I'm talking about this emotional side, I lean a bit more forwards. I try to connect with that emotional side. If there's one thing that is important in schema therapy, it is emotional basic core needs. That is why we want to connect to this emotional side. When I address this more detached part, I lean it backwards, and it's more like, okay, so but now the tone of voice becomes more neutral. It's trying to get everything in line. Okay, so this is just starting up. Okay, so we seem to agree that you have these two different sides. Now, I don't think that's just by coincidence that you are now in a place where you don't feel that much. Let's do an exercise that might help us to get a better understanding what it is, and then I also will be helping you to take steps forward. Would it be okay for you?
Okay.
Okay. So now if you could move over to that side and shift your chair to that part. Okay, that's good. You might wonder why do I need to do that? Well, you see me do those gestures, And there is this side of you where you're in a place where you don't feel that much, and that's exactly where I would like you to be right now. I would like you to be not feeling that much and neutral, as you said, empty maybe. And I think that's not just by coincidence. I think for you, it might be feeling better to be over here than over to your left, where you did feel a lot of emotions and other moments. Am I right? Does it feel better to you to be?
It's more quiet here. All that crying and anger, that's a lot. So it's better to have it quiet.
Okay. So for you, it feels better because it's more quiet. If you wouldn't be there, how would she feel then? Not that quiet anymore, but what would be the result of that? If you wouldn't be around making sure that everything would be quiet, how would she feel?
Oh, she has a lot of stress and panic and crying, and then it's really difficult for her to go to work.
Okay, I see. So in a way, you could say that you're protecting her. You make sure that she doesn't drown in that ocean, in that vast ocean full of sadness and tears. Is that a way to put it?
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you do that then? How do you make sure that she doesn't feel all that? How do you get rid of all that?
I just switch off. It
Okay.
it goes automatically.
Okay. And what happens then with her emotions? Are they then solved or are they gone in any way?
No, not solved, I guess, but it's more on the side, and yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're very good in what you do. And what you do is sort of switch off. You push them aside. And that's what you can do. And you're doing it very effectively. But that's the downside. Maybe it's not a solution to those feelings and emotions. They're not gone by switching them off. Now that's my concern. My worry is that they're still there and that Sandra might still feel all that pain. And I think we can manage it differently. We can do more than that. I think I can offer her a chance to actually feel better. How does that sound to you?
Well, it sounds a bit okay, but I'm also scared of feeling that much. And I have to go to work this afternoon, so I don't know.
Okay, point taken. So you're okay with the idea that she might feel better, but you're a bit concerned that she might be still overwhelmed, that when you open up the gates, that she will, yeah. Well, I want to make a promise with you. I want to promise you that I will do my best at the end of the session, that you're back in the saddle, that you're back in control. And I think that's not really a big problem because you're so trained in closing off. I think that is what you do very well. So I think it will be more difficult to connect you to this emotional Sandra than to close off again. But I will support you at the end of the session. Make sure that everything is back to normal. Okay, would it be okay?
Okay, I hope.
Okay. So what you see me do now is negotiate, because that's what we do. We want to connect to this emotional side. She's over there. She's sitting over there, and I want to make sure that this is actually the place where she is the detached protector. So that's always what we are aiming for. Experiential techniques are not just talking about things, but you really would like her to be this detached protector, and that goes in line with words like you and her, almost talking about different persons. And it feels a bit instrumental, a bit technical maybe, but it does help. And she picks on that language. She's okay with that when I point out that she would drown if you wouldn't be there. And I want to make sure with the justice that I keep both positions live. Okay. What I also would like to point out is that the camera is something I would like to make use of. This is a way to intensify contact. So you have a choice. If you would like to intensify contact, you try to look straight into the camera, which is not a natural thing because I can see Helen sitting over there. So my eyes are sort of taken by that image over there. But for her, they will feel like I'm looking away. I want to make contact. I want to connect with her. So I need to look straight into the camera. That's the thing that might be helpful. At least it's a choice. it's more intensifying, or you could not do that, and that way keep it more like at a distance. Okay, back into the role play. Would you be willing to move over then to this other side? Because I hear I have a chance. And it means, Sandra, that over there she is sitting over there with all her capacities to switch off emotions. She's trying to protect you. But over here, I would like you to connect to this emotional side. She's talking about you feeling sad, you're feeling lonely, or is that something that you recognize?
Yeah, I feel sad a lot, and I feel alone a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I can see that in many ways that sounds just very logical and normal in a way, because what I know about the situation now, you are more on your own. Yeah, there's so many limitations. You can't go outside. There's this lockdown. So yes, of course you feel lonely. Yes, of course you feel alone. But I also realize, Sandra, it's not just now with the lockdown. It's also that you come from a background where people were not paying attention to you. And in a way that loneliness has been there in your life for so many years. Does that make sense when I say something like that?
Mm. Yeah, I always felt that at school, at home.
Yeah. And in a way, I realized that she has been necessary. I mean, she has been there to protect you against all that pain. But as she said, well, it's not gone, that pain. And that's what we talk about now. And I would just like to point out, and I think there's nothing wrong with your emotional system. It's suffering, yes, but it's pointing out that, yes, you are feeling lonely. And of course you feel lonely and sad. I wonder, how does it make you feel when you hear me say this? That I think that there's nothing wrong with you.
It calms me down a bit, but I am also unsure that my feelings are so strong.
Okay.
So yeah, sad and so insecure.
So what I say is that it feels good when you hear my understanding.
Mhm.
But part of you starts to worry. Part of you starts to doubt if you can handle this. I would like you to just stay connected to this moment. Just look in my eyes and hear my words when I say, I don't think there's something wrong with you. I think that what you experience is just a normal emotional response. Of course you feel lonely. And it's good that you feel better when this is understood, when you hear my understanding. What do you feel in your body right now?
I feel a bit lighter and a bit warm
Okay.
here now. Yeah, I feel
So
some
your chest, I see
better.
your chest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe stay connected to that feeling. I would
Mm.
like you to be aware of how this is better. I guess in a way, this is what I was talking about when I was negotiating with her. I made her a promise. I said I thought that I could make you feel better. And I was talking about this, that when we connect, when you stay with this, you can also feel better because you feel understood, you feel connected, and you feel that right in your chest. Maybe that is something that I want you to remember. And I would like you to take this with you. Maybe record this, what I'm going to say now. Do you have your mobile phone with you?
Yeah, always.
Of course, always. Like real. Maybe you can put it on record and take what I'm going to say in the camera now, because I would like you to have a chance to listen back to what I'm saying. Okay. So hold it in front of the camera so you can see my face as well when you listen to the recording. Okay. So, Sandra, I realize that there's this part of you that tries to protect you, doing her best to keep you away from the pain. But I know that, okay, let's stop with this. There are a couple of things I would like to point out. So it started with make her move over to this side. Now, the moment that she's doing that, I would like to be more connected with this emotional side. So lean forward, and this will be the part where we both are connected more. And this is one of the moments that I feel like doing online therapy provides you with chances. Like I would never be coming so close with my patients in real life, in offline therapy, but I can do that more being online. I realize that I can be dramatic. I do this a lot. I can use my hands a lot. I can sort of move close to the camera. Maybe that's not your personal style, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not here to tell you this is how it should be done. But we would like to point out to you that to make use of the camera, to make yourself move closer to the patient or move further away, is something that intensifies the contact or not. And make use of that, be aware of that. So, just going back to the slides. Okay, so what we've been doing in this first role play, identify the modes with gestures. Like in offline therapy, the moment that you can do this, then you can do chair work. The same goes for online therapy. The moment you can do this, you can ask the patient to shift over to this other side. And try to do this negotiating with the coping modes with a lot of understanding, and don't jump to the negative sides of the coping modes. Take your time. Of course, you're helpful. I would do the same thing. But are those emotions solved when you switch off? And if not, can I have a chance to do something else? And then make use of the camera and try to be mindful of looking straight into the camera. You be the better judge of this than what I can see now. But I think it makes a difference when I look at you right now in the camera or when I would be looking like this. So try to sort of feel what it does to you and be aware that this is something you can make use of when dealing with patients online. Okay. So next, time is running fast. Next is to make use of actual chairs. But now we would like to make use of chairs in the room of the therapist. And the reason to do that is, what are we aiming for? We're aiming to sort of validate basic core needs. And that's why we would like to connect to these child modes, to these emotional sides. And what we would like to offer patients are those corrective emotional experiences where we, as a role model also of a healthy adult, a healthy parent, we provide them with normal care. And part of doing that is to fight, to address those internalized messages that they've been carrying around from their childhood. Our patients didn't receive that good care. They just learned to feel bad about themselves because. So we are fighting those internalized messages. But in the beginning stage of therapy, the patient is not strong enough to do that herself. So if we are doing chair work and we place this punitive side on a chair and we would like to fight them, if that chair would be in the room of the patient, then the patient would be there with that chair. And if we are doing our work well, this chair symbolizes in a very emotional way this critical side. And of course, we can do many things. We can coach, we can help them to push away this chair. But for some patients, that this healthy adult side of them is not strong enough yet. And we would like to take over. We would take them by the hand and provide them with this experience. And the way to do that in an easier way is to do that chair work, that's standing away of that chair in my room as a therapist. So that's the theory. Let's practice. Okay. Again, we're facing Sandra at the beginning of the session. Sandra, how have you been feeling last week?
Not good. Bad. I'm so stupid. I can't really think of it. The most worst thing I did was forgetting to deliver a package from my friend. He asked me 3 times to do it, but I'm just thinking alone of myself.
Sandra, sorry to interrupt you, but maybe I'm missing the point, but you forgot something that you promised maybe, but isn't that normal human thing? Like what?
It was so important for him. He asked me in the morning again. He cares so much for me. And what do I? Just think of myself and stupid.
Okay. Sandra?
Mm-hmm.
Sandra, I would like you to, just getting back to the screen because I can see Honey now full in. Sandra, I would like you to pay attention, because it sounds to me that you're in a place now where you seem to be looking at yourself and what you did last week, but with so much anger. It's like you're looking at yourself, not liking what you see, to say the least.
Yeah, I hate it. It's so stupid. Always the same with me.
Okay, Sandra, please stop for a moment. I do want to know about what you experience, but I would like to do that with the use of chairs now. First of all, I would like to get a better understanding. Could you shift over to that side a bit? Just move your chair a bit to that side. Okay. And now in this place, I would like you to be that critical voice. I would like you to look to your left and realize you're looking at last week. And so Sandra forgot stuff. So you seem to be criticizing that. What is so bad about it? What is so bad about Sandra that she forgot to post that post?
She's always so stupid and so selfish with all her feelings.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you. Just one thing more. If I would be listening in, if I would be Sandra, listening to your voice, can you again tell me the way that you tell her what you think of her, so I can just get an understanding, a flavor of the sound of your voice? So you think of Sandra that
she's stupid, she's dumb, she's selfish,
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you now, because I would like you to move over to this side again. Shift your chair a bit to this side. And let's take a moment, Sandra, to pay attention to what's going on. I mean, when I listen to what comes from that side, it sounds so negative. Not just the words, mind you, although the words are also about stupid and stuff like that. But it's the tone of voice. It's like, I just wonder, how does that make you feel? How does it make you feel when you listen to what comes from that side?
I feel small and depressed.
Sure you do. I mean, that sounds just like the normal thing to react. I mean, when there's so much negativity, everyone would feel small, depressed, sad, maybe, because that's how it sounds a bit.
Also, yeah.
And I realize this is not the first time. And what I hear coming from that side, it's almost like I want to show you, it's almost like there's somebody actually sitting over there, talking to you this way, being so negative, with all this anger, with all this violence in a way. And I just wonder, whose voice comes from that chair? Whose voice coming from that place?
Yeah, that's always my mother calling me stupid and telling me you give me migraine, and I'm fed up with you.
So what I need to realize is that when I'm looking over there and see this empty chair, it's not really an empty chair. Basically, there's your mother again, and basically she has been saying to you, to this wonderful little girl who is 6 years old, that I've been seeing on this photograph with her lovely face, and she's been saying all this. That makes me angry. If this would be my daughter and somebody would talk to her that way, I would say, stop it, stop talking to her that way. No. You're not going to address Sandra that way. I'm not going to stand for this. What kind of a language is this? There's nothing wrong with her. There's nothing wrong with you, Sandra. There's actually nothing wrong with you. You're this wonderful person. The only thing that you have is a big heart where you feel a lot of emotions. And the only thing that you need then is just kindness and understanding. And that's the only thing that she needs. Just some kindness and understanding. That's not a rocket science. That's just basic human behavior. Stop doing this. I just wonder, how does she react to all this? How does she respond when I address her this way?
She is saying that you don't know how stupid I am and how tiring she's getting me.
No, you have to listen to me now. I'm not going to allow you to talk this way anymore. You've been doing this for so many years. I'm going to stop this. I want this place to be a safe place for Sandra. This has to be your place, Sandra, where you can feel safe. And I'm not going to stand for it when you talk to her that way. So this is the end of it. I'm taking you out of this room, and I want you to pay attention to Sandra. Because what I'm doing now, I'm opening up this door, and I'm putting her outside. Closing the door, giving her a clear sign that this is not allowed for here in this room. This is your place. What I want this place to be is a place of safety. You can feel safe. You don't have to worry about being yelled at or criticized. Come on, Sandra. You're not a problem here. If there's anybody here a problem, then she is. That's why she needs to go now. I wonder, how does it make you feel when you hear me say this?
Well, I feel a bit better now. I feel relieved a bit. And yeah, not so sad.
Glad to hear that. Actually, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Sandra. Let's stop for a moment. Okay, many thanks. So what I try to show to you is that when facing this punitive side, it starts again with identifying it, of course, with gestures again. And then again, ask the patient to shift from position, not use a different chair, because that's what I was mentioning before. If you use another chair and you ask the patient to sit in another chair, that chair becomes a symbol. And we are trying to make those symbols work. We are trying to make those symbols emotional symbols. But that's not what we are aiming for at the beginning stage of therapy. We want to provide safety. We will take this critical punitive side here in the room and fight it. So the way to sort of take that critical side, punitive side, from her side of the screen to this side of the screen is to say something like, what I realize is that there actually have been people saying, there actually has been someone in your life talking to you that way, and then start to gesture to a chair in your room. And the moment that you start to do it, don't talk about reality. At least that's our advice. Don't start to talk about, yeah, it sounds a bit weird, but of course, it's in your room, but now I'm taking her with me. The moment that you start to address reality, people are becoming more aware of that reality and with all the limitations. We are aiming for emotional experiences. That means that we don't talk about reality too much during the exercise. Reality and the understanding comes later. The moment that we stop the technique, then we can start to talk and to understand on a cognitive level what goes on. Okay. So there's a technical thing that you might find challenging, that is, you have to take this mobile device with you the moment that you stand up. That's why we would like to advise people to make use of mobile devices like a laptop or an iPad or something. Try it out for yourself and make sure that you are also there in the camera so the patient can see you, but also can be seen what you are then addressing. Okay. So, second role play. For the third one, I will need to take this chair back into my room. Finally throwing it out. Somebody has been so kind to put it back on its feet. Okay. It's nice. I don't know if you have the same experience, but doing online therapy, you can show your patients your office at your home or your private house. I choose to do this webinar from my office. So actually, this is the office where I normally would see patients offline, which will start quite soon. Okay. So, Hélène.
Yes, we'll do the third role play now. And Sandra has become John. And we're not in the beginning of the therapy, but we are now in the middle, or maybe somewhat to the end of the therapy. And the client is used to doing chair work And the healthy adult has been developing, so he is able to send away the punisher himself. So the demonstration will be that the chair of the punisher is in the room of the client. We'll do the demonstration, and afterwards I will highlight some points. So if you can remove the slide. Okay, John, how did you feel last week?
Well, basically it was a bad week. It was just like a rotten week. It was just like an awful, everything went wrong. I mean, everything that I touched sort of seemed to go bad in a way. It was just like...
What happened?
Well, like I said, everything, but the worst thing was I tried to at least make it go well for my girlfriend, and then I promised something and I forgot to do even that, and then she started to say, well, but you promised, and I felt, oh, but this is what I do always. I'm just this basically stupid person, and I will just as well deserve to die. I mean, it's just not going well anymore.
Stop, John, for a moment. Which side of you do we hear here? Which side of you is talking now?
Yeah.
Saying that you're stupid.
Yeah. I mean, you would say that this is my punitive side, then. Yeah.
Yeah. And he keeps on beating you and calling you names. It's humiliating for you. And what's the most important thing in your therapy?
You mean basic core needs?
Again. Yeah, again, the basic emotional core needs. We talk a lot about that. And we can't use that punisher, which is so mean. So we have to fight against it. And can you look around in your room if you see a chair or a stool or maybe another symbol that we can use for this punisher side? Maybe you can show me. Can you show me what you see?
Like turn the camera. I mean.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Okay, I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is the chair of your punisher side. And when you feel so bad, when that side is saying bad things to you, how does it feel then? Does it feel like it is on a distance and throwing things to you, or is it very close to you, that punishing side?
How I experience when with all that criticism, what it feels like it's right on me, like it's almost like this, like I sort of disappear underneath.
It's so close to you. It's almost like it's onto your body.
It's like it's glued to me. Like it's never gone. It's always there.
Yeah. So please let that punisher side sit there on that chair. And can you close your eyes for a little moment and concentrate on who said this kind of things to you when you were
well, the image that comes up, but that's what we always have been talking about. That's my mother.
Yeah.
I can see that. I mean, maybe not in that moment, but now when you ask me, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Concentrate on that. You really heard those words as a little child. And can you feel that in your body somewhere? Yeah, can you point it out where you feel that in your body?
Yeah. It's sort of, I don't know, it sort of hurts or it pushes or it's...
It's really on your chest when you hear this kind of mean things to you. So can you open your eyes now, John, and look at your chair of the punitive side. And we really need your healthy captain now to fight against this side. And can you stand up right now? I will do that too. Can you stand up and take your laptop with you? And I really want you to be the healthy adult now. I would really to get you into that. And do you remember that a few sessions ago we did an imagery exercise with your healthy adult? And you went back to a situation which was tough and difficult, and you had hard feelings, but your healthy adult was very present. And you can look back at the situation with pride because your healthy adult made that you could be the John that you want to be.
Yeah, the situation at the office, you mean, at
Yes,
work.
on work. Can you close your eyes for one moment now and be there again, John, in the situation at work? What do you see?
Well, there's this meeting going on, and the manager then sort of explains what will happen, but everybody feels like, this is not the right course. And then, yeah, what I feel is that part of me just wants to sort of shut up and don't say anything, but then become a bit angry, and then I sort of express what everybody is thinking, and actually it feels good. It feels good. It feels like, yeah, just
Exactly. And I see it in your face. And where do you feel that power in your body? That power of your healthy captain?
I don't know, I just like I stand tall. That's the feeling. Like I stand tall and almost above it, but not in an arrogant way. But
I see that very tall and strong and yeah, really standing up. And does there come a sentence?
in a way, like I can do this, but also like I'm equally important. Maybe that's what it is. Like I don't want to be pushed aside anymore. Like I don't know, what I feel matters, something like that.
Yeah. That's a very nice sentence, that you're equally important as the boss and the other colleagues. So can you focus on the sentence and on the standing up and the power, and you may open your eyes again. And you're standing here now between two chairs, the chair of the punitive side and the other chair where you just sat. And that's the chair where your healthy adult sits, but also it's now the chair of your vulnerable child, the chair of little John. And little John has heard so often that he's stupid, and there was so much anger on him. And when you look at the punitive side, can you let me see, show me, yes, how do you feel about that? That little John has heard that so many times and felt so alone.
I don't know. Yeah, I get more and more irritated. That's what's happening over time now. That I feel like, I mean, come on, leave him alone. Like that sort of feeling. Like I want to.
Yeah, and you think leave him alone. And what do you feel? Do you feel anger
Yeah,
about
that
little
is a
John?
form of anger. Like leave him alone. To put it in normal terms, like a fuck off. Like
Yeah. And can you stand up for him now, for the little John? What do you want to say to the punitive side? And say it.
This feels a bit awkward. Like it feels like I'm out standing talking to an empty chair. This feels a bit.
Yeah, it is an empty chair, but we know that your punitive side is really strong and you have to fight it again and again. So it's sitting there, John. There it comes from. All those mean messages, all those bad things.
Yeah, but then I would like to sort of push him further away.
Hey,
That's
lift it up. I'll walk with you and lift it up. Is it far enough for you? Or do you want to go further? Where do you want to put it?
I would like to put it over there in the corner of the room.
Very good.
And face the corner of the room.
Oh, just as far in the corner as you can get in.
Yeah,
Very
maybe.
good.
Yeah.
Very good. And Well, how does it feel that you send him away?
It's a bit awkward, but it does bring a smile to my face. That's what I also notice. It does feel better to actually be doing something.
Yeah, you did it very well, John. And the fighting is important. And you have to keep on fighting when the punitive side there comes up again. But it's not only fighting, it's also taking care of the little John, of the little boy. We also have him here. And can you go to the chair of the little boy? And maybe you have a photograph of him.
Yeah, you ask me always to have this photograph
Yes,
present.
and you always have him with you. Can you? Yes, I see him. The little boy. He's so sweet. Can you put a photograph on the chair? And can you sit next to him?
Like actually next to him?
Yeah, I would like you to sit really close to him, next to him. And you are now on your knees or something?
No, I have this other chair.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. And can you say something nice to him? Something sweet. I think he can use that.
Again, it feels a bit awkward, but okay. But when I look at him, it feels like it's just like a sweet boy. There's nothing really wrong with him or something.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
Can
okay.
you tell that to him directly?
Well, you're okay. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad about yourself. I mean, you're just a human being, and there's nothing wrong with you.
You're talking so friendly to him, and I hope you will do that more often, and that it will become normal for you to talk to him and to yourself so friendly and understanding as you do now. And can you help the vulnerable side, little John, also with his stress and his feelings of guilt about having forgotten to deliver the package of his friend?
Come on, hey, you forget stuff. That's normal. People do that in life. You're just a human being. Don't feel bad. Just try to do your best, and that's good enough as it is. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Exactly, exactly. You are doing it very well, and I hope it calms him down.
It feels okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, in this demonstration, you can notice that we are not talking about left or right, but use gestures because it can be mirrored, and then the client doesn't know what you mean. I've noticed that with a client. And it's good to ask the client himself to select a chair or something else which is suited for the punitive parent, and make use of positions to make it more intense, to make it more experiential. And it's good to ask the client several times, show me, let me see, because the client will have more the idea that you're doing it together and you're not just on one side asking things, because we ask a lot in the online chair work to stand, to stand away, to sit next to the child of the vulnerable side. And it can help him when you are leading him or coaching him, which is necessary in the middle phase. And now we had 2 times of closing the eyes and focus on the healthy adult, focus on the little boy. That also helps the client to feel more and to get more out of the chair work. So look what you can do to do it along with your clients. Okay.
All righty.
You can ask Honey now.
So 3 demonstrations within the time limits. That's great. We do hope that you've been enjoying or find it inspiring. Honey certainly must have done a great job in answering questions. Honey, would you like to?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
And now he says, unable to start video. You can't start your video because the host has stopped it.
Okay, then. I tried to avoid you, but then.
So I can't help it. Show non-video participants.
Yeah, me neither.
And see my name, but
yeah, weird. Sorry, people. Normally we're much more at ease.
I'm not important to look at. I only can ask the questions. Well, there were a lot of questions I could answer instantly, but there are also very important questions for you that are interesting for a lot of people, I think. First question is, if the hands of the therapist, especially of Remco, come into the picture very big, it can be threatening, especially for patients with abuse experiences. So you should discuss this with the patient.
Yeah. No, I'm aware of that, and it has been pointed out to me earlier on. And some patients react on it differently than other patients. Like I said in between, what you're looking at is a personal style. So I am dramatic in my gestures, and I do that. I don't stop doing that completely because I find it to be useful. And even with people who are triggered by it in some way, it does intensify. Of course, we are working with the window of tolerance. So you don't want to exceed that window of tolerance. You want to remain it within the window of tolerance where it is emotional and maybe a little bit activating or triggering, but still doable. So, but if you feel like this is not my style, then choose your own style. But what I do think and what we think is that the use of gestures generally is something that is effective. And also the fact that I'm reaching out to this emotional side, even when I'm doing it like this, I would like to have more contact with you. I understand that part of you, but I would like to stay more connected with you because I feel you're more, then it maybe is less threatening. But as you said, I mean, part of the answer is already what you've been given. If you notice that the patient is stressed out, discuss this. And if this is a factor, then sure, listen to that. Yeah.
Another question is a little bit linked to that is when you look into the camera and not towards the patient, maybe you miss too much non-verbal signals from the patient. So how do you solve that?
Yeah. So sorry to jump on this, Helen. Don't want to take away this answer, but let me answer this and then you can do the next one. I've been trying to point it out by doing it constantly. What I normally do in doing my online therapy is where I make choices when to do that. So when dealing with the patients in the detached protector, I look at the screen because I want to know, I want to be aware of those minor changes in the facial expressions. But for example, that moment where you try to connect and make an audio-visual flashcard, then I deliberately try to look into the camera because I feel like that's the moment in which I would like it to become more intensified and more personal.
Yeah. And I think I do it both. And I try to look in the camera, especially on moments where it's important. But I switch also to see the non-verbal signals and talk about that with the client.
Okay. Another question is, and in the beginning, you used, as it were, the same chair for the patient. She only moved from one side of the picture to the other. Later on, the patient also used more chairs. Why do you decide to do that? Or when do you decide to do that?
Part of it is just showing you that there are variations. So there's no specific rule that you have to do this or that way. So the very first demonstration was to shift the position, because that's an easy way of doing chair work. You could say it's more mode work and not literally chair work, but it is coming close to chair work as a sort of a preliminary step towards chair work. So that's one part of the answer. It's showing you variations. You could do both. The other thing is that the which chair you would like to choose and where to place the chairs, that really depends also on the timing, the phase in therapy. As we said in the beginning phase, when you use actual chairs for the punitive side, maybe then you could choose to do the chair work in your own room as a therapist. But if it's a coping mode, then sure, that I would ask the patient, look around you, which chair in your room could sort of symbolize that self-soothing part of you, or that protective side of you.
Yeah. Sometimes they choose the couch or some cushion for that.
Okay. There's a problem maybe when the patient uses the chair at home for, let's say, the punitive parent, and after therapy, that chair is still the punitive parent. Or what do you do to change the chair back to the normal chair? Let's say it like that.
That's the reason why you don't do that in the beginning of the therapy, because then the healthy adult is not so strong, and it's better to leave the chair with the therapist. Sometimes I put a paper on the punitive chair with all the punitive messages, and the client can put the paper away or burn it or something. That can help. And we pay attention to choosing the chair of the punitive side. Often it is something which is very hard, or like a stool, and not a seat they use regularly. So it's good to pay attention to that.
And in a way, it's not really a bad thing that in the middle or the end part of therapy, where this chair still symbolizes that critical side, even though the session has ended. Because that, in a way, is what we are trying to aim for. We would like to make the patient provisioned in learning to identify and manage that critical part of themselves. So yes, it's still there. Hopefully, the middle and the end part of therapy, the healthy adult is strong enough to be able to deal with that, and then becomes a moment of practice. The moment that they see this chair, they become triggered. Then this again is a moment where they need to become aware and learn to manage that critical side. So it's not completely a bad thing in the course of therapy when this chair becomes that symbol and remains that symbol even after the session.
Another question is, when you don't have the possibility to put the chair literally out of your room, what are the alternatives? When it is not able, when you are giving therapy out of your own house or some place you can't put a chair out of your room.
Well, implicitly, in that question, there's this. The question is about the problem. So if you can't put it outside, then you still have this critical side in your room, and that still might affect the patient.
Yes.
But in a way, that's a compliment. It's a compliment that you did your work well. We put a lot of effort in making those chairs emotional symbols, and apparently in this question, it works. It works really well. It works so well that it becomes a problem. What do you do with this emotional symbol? Yeah, practically, like you saw me do, is to put it over there in the corner is one thing, and don't forget, finding that critical side in a very active way, addressing it directly is one way of finding it, but ignoring it, turning your back against that chair is another way of finding it. So that probably is something I would aim for more than those situations. I know it's over there, but I would like you to practice ignoring it, turning your back at it. Pay attention to me, look in my face. Don't listen to her.
Put a chair around maybe, or put a blanket over it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, nice.
Okay. Are there possibilities to do chair techniques by telephone when it is not possible to Zoom or have other online video?
Yeah, I heard some good stories about that, but I think it works better when your patient is used to some chair work. Um, but you have to keep in mind that your instructions have to be very clear because you can't look. But if you don't have, you can't look, it is only telephone, you can try it.
Crystal changed something at the end. Hello, I'm Annie van Genderen. And asking all those difficult questions. Okay.
It is doable, but of course it's more challenging. But just 2 weeks ago, everything went wrong with the conference calls, and we just had to do a session just by telephone, and we did chair work. And afterwards, I got a message from this patient telling me that she really profited from it and she really felt better and not being detached that much anymore. But you have to be very graphic. So where's this chair? To your right. So now turn to your right. What do you see? So look at that chair. Yeah.
It's more difficult anyway. I would advise to do more imagery work. That's easier by telephone. But this workshop is about chair work. And another thing is, well, sometimes you do this out of your own house because you have to stay at home as a therapist. But then you show the patient your own house. Is that not too personal? Well, you do it from your office, but not everyone has an office.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, it's good to think about which room you use for that, and it is you tell something about yourself, or they see something about yourself. But yeah, I talk about that with my supervisees, and nobody uses a sleeping room or middle of with children or animals. Everybody chooses a bit of an office like thing. But for clients, it's when it's not too personal, it's not a problem, and no, they can like it, that they can see something of your house.
Yeah, can also be very helpful that they see that at your house something goes wrong every now and then. I heard of a colleague where the husband came in suddenly, not on purpose, but he made a mistake. And then the therapist said to the patient, you see, I also don't have everything under control.
I think it also depends on what phase of therapy. So what we discuss now, the beneficial aspects of that's for some patients in the beginning, but also over time in the middle and end stage of therapy, then becomes even important, because I would like to pay attention to the fact to show to them that I am just a human being. It's such an easy trap to fall into, that we still remain this Buddhist-like type of people, that they feel like, yeah, you know it all, but I'm still struggling. No, we all struggle in life, and to show them around when these things happen, yeah, you're just a human being. For some patients at the beginning stage of therapy, then it becomes a problem where the restlessness, the changes in everything, that becomes a little bit triggering for the mistrust and abuse or the unsafety. Yeah.
Okay, I think that were the questions that were more general, and they want to ask you. So I think this is the end.
Okay. Many thanks, people. It was very kind of you to drop by and to watch us, and we hope you gained something from that, and do hope to see you somewhere in a corona-free environment in the future. And meanwhile, have a good life and look after your own needs and the ones around you.
Yeah, thanks for watching, and maybe we'll see each other next year in Copenhagen.
I hope so also. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.